My birthday was February 4th, and starting back in January, I would say New Year's Eve to be exact, I just was coming down with something, and it was wintertime, so I didn't think anything of it, because who would? Everybody gets sick in the winter. So this was hovering 99, 100, and it just was annoying enough to take 2 Advil and try to sleep it off. So I said to myself, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna pop some Advil, party with my friends on New Year's Eve, and hopefully it goes away. Once I was spending my week in Florida in the middle of January, I was loving life. I felt better than I ever did around New Year's Eve. But then a couple weeks went by, and when I was back home, I didn't know if I was just getting the blues being back in shitty New York, but everything started coming back, and everything was heightened. Starting to, you know, say maybe it's time to go to the doctor. We ran some blood work, and all they said was your white blood cells are a little elevated, which is another thing that I didn't think anything of, because when you have an infection, your body produces more white blood cells to fight off the infection. Around my birthday, February 4th, I started to have all these signs come back again. And what was scaring me the most is that now I had a fever, I had the fatigue, I had a bump on my neck that I just felt out of nowhere. And this is when I thought it was starting to get a little serious. I just turned 20, and the Super Bowl was February 5th. And my neighborhood always does a big Super Bowl party, so I said to myself, you know what, something is wrong. I'm gonna get myself checked. I'm sitting there while everyone's having a good time on the couch watching the game, and I'm just feeling myself up. I'm feeling my neck. I was in the bathroom, and I was just self-conscious about everything, and I'm feeling a bump under my armpit all of a sudden, and I just didn't even know that was there. So I said to myself, you know what, the worst thing you could possibly do is Google your symptoms. And I type in, I said fever, fatigue, bumps in several different locations. You know, WebMD says, oh, you're sick, you're gonna die. But I looked up on Google, and it literally said Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I'm saying to myself, fuck. And I didn't want to freak out. I didn't want to tell anybody except my mom. So I pulled my mom to the side, and I said, we really have to go to the doctor tomorrow. It's Monday after the Super Bowl, and I go to the doctor. I explain to him everything that's going on, and he says, look man, I don't want to jump the gun, but here's what we're going to do. He said, we're going to give you a chest x-ray, we're going to draw some blood, we're going to do a urine test and see if your kidney function is normal. I got a call that night, which was the scariest call of my entire life, from my family physician telling me that, holy shit, I can't even say this, telling me that my chest, the lymph nodes in my chest were completely swollen. And when lymph nodes swell up, it's because they're trying to fight something off. But there was no bacteria surrounding my lymph nodes, meaning that there was bacteria surrounding your lymph nodes, then you would have bronchitis or any upper respiratory infection, you know, mono, anything. But you have no bacteria surrounding your lymph nodes, therefore this is something out of my field, is what he said. At this point I knew exactly what it was. I knew I wasn't overreacting. I was scared. I didn't know what to fucking say at that point. So, you know, the first thing I did was I called my parents. My mom left work, my dad left work, my brother couldn't come home because he was out building houses in fucking Montauk. So yeah, the next day I was in Caremont's. I was officially part of Caremont's cancer team, their oncology department. So we're doing a biopsy, which anyone who isn't familiar with that term, is fucking painful. So they stuck a needle into the lymph node that was most present in my armpit, took 4 samples out, or clips. So they stick a needle in, clip out cells, clip out cells, clip out cells, and then do it again, because, you know, in science you can never just fucking do something once. And 4 days later, the results come back. Radiologist calls me up and says, you have stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. At this point, I wasn't scared anymore because I just wanted to fucking get the ball rolling, and I knew how much was still in my way. March 1st was my first chemo date, and to be 100% honest, I wasn't scared. I was scared after the fact. I didn't know what it was going to do to me and how long it was going to take for all the, the side effects that I've heard so many awful things about to really kick in. 3 months into chemo and I still have, I'm losing my hair at this point. It's fucking shedding out in the shower. But I'm saying to myself, when am I gonna lose my hair? And it's still there. And I talked to my doctor about it and he said, you're just a fucking beast, I guess. He didn't have any words for it. So there was a lot of things while I was on this whole journey that I realized to myself, I'm very fortunate that I was so healthy as I was going into this, because if I wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to handle it the way I handled it. Another good saying that I love is that you don't know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice, and that's what I had to find out myself. So chemo itself, I don't even know how to describe it. It fucking sucked. I got it twice a month, and in those 2 times there was, twice a month, there's 30 days in a month, so each cycle goes by 1 day. So it'd be like cycle 1, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So if I got chemo on a Tuesday really wasn't such a bad day. It was a lazy day because 3 hours of it were spent in a chair. I say it all the time, I could not complain. I'm here with Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's cancer, but it is, thank God, the easiest cancer to get rid of. One cool thing about getting chemo was that I'll never, ever, ever, ever complain again about being tired, because now I know what it's like to literally not want to do anything. August 1st was my last day of chemo. So I'm back up at Vassar doing a PET scan, which is where you're injected with this radioactive, like sugar. I don't know what it is. It's like sugar dye or something like that. It's pretty much radioactive glucose, and sugar excites cancer cells. So if there was any cancer left in my body, it would light up yellow on their screen, but it didn't. And that's how we knew I was 100% cancer-free going into my last round of chemo, which was just, I don't know what's the best news that you have ever been told, but that was just fucking unreal. I started at 182 going into chemo, and I dropped down to 159. The first fucking thing I did when I left the doctor was I went right to the gym. I couldn't wait. I didn't want to run. I didn't want to go on a bike. I didn't want to go on a fucking treadmill. I didn't want to do shit. I wanted to grab weights, and I just wanted to throw them. I was like, as weird as it sounds, I was craving just working out because I hadn't been for so long. My goal was to make it so nobody knew I had cancer this year. Looked like I had cancer this year. I try to stay humble about it, but I fucking kicked its ass, so it's pretty awesome. It's a good feeling now. It's eye-opening, really. All in the end, it's the most eye-opening experience you'll ever go through, because you know what they say, like, oh, don't take anything for granted. And really, like, I don't take anything for granted, because I know for a fact that it could come back, and my body is never gonna be what it was ever again. So one really cool thing about what happened after I was diagnosed with cancer was my brother set me up a GoFundMe account because we didn't have the funds to cover my medical insurance. And I've been working at Dunkin' Donuts for the last 5 years, and what was really cool is that working at a place like Dunkin', you get to meet a lot of regulars who come in, they get to know your name, you get to know their drink, and you get to get on a personal level with them. So after my diagnosis, my brother was out here with his girlfriend setting up a table with my bracelets. It said Big Rand's Battle on them. And once people saw that it was me and it was my name who was diagnosed with cancer, everybody just started throwing money in the jar. And I can't say thank you enough to everybody that was able to donate for me and make it so my medical expenses were just pushed under the rug, if you will. You couldn't thank everybody enough. That's the way you gotta look at it. You gotta take the good with the bad and try to stay positive with every single thing that gets thrown your way. So no matter what happens, just know that there is something inside you that knows, that prepares you, that is ready for no matter how big or small you are, male, female, black, white, fucking yellow, I don't give a shit. You are gonna kick its ass. And something just gets pulled out from inside of you and you just fucking, you win. And I won. So that's where I'll end that.